Welcome, everybody. Welcome to iGPFun Formula 3, presented by Virtual Racing School. I am Jim Hodson. Joining me on commentary is, of course, Marco Barbanera. And on production today, it is Marco Barbanera. Also, doing double duty is Marco today. Today, we are, and I, of course, am filling in for Austin. Today, we are at Monza, Marco, and what a race we are going to have.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Hello, Jim. Big hello to Austin, of course, and to all the competitors of the iGPFun-F3 series for what has been another exciting championship that comes to an end today. Of course, we are going to have the kind of racing that this series has us used to. So 60 cars, battles all over the field, and of course, I might be biased here, but what better place to end the season than at the Temple of Speed itself, Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. We had a fantastic race yesterday in the Apex Racing Academy official F3 Championship, where Gianfranco Pagotto won the title, I think he also has this title in the bag, but much like the Spec Racers Weekend Warriors series that you cover usually, and up until last week you covered with me, it's more like the camaraderie of being together here than the championships. This is a very, very tight group. These drivers like to respect each other, and they have very, very stringent rules on avoiding bonehead moves, and you will see that now, hopefully, I'm not jinxing it, but despite having 60 very fragile open wheelers, you will see the incident ratio in this championship is extremely low. Of course, Monza, it's always a big asterisk because of the chicanes. So, and the first lap, and we will see. But of course, fantastic way to end the season, Jim. I'm so happy to have you on board for this one. And of course, get ready, because in 2 minutes you will have your baptism of fire going through the starting grid. You're already well trained from the Spec Racer Ford, of course, but these drivers have a very high standard of name pronunciation.
Well, I will do my best. I do love this track so much. Hard to think of a better match between the Formula 3 cars and Monza. I have no doubt that we are going to have some great racing today. You know, just a moment ago when you were saying you were just providing an exception, which is the chicanes, but every part of this track is so deceptive and so beautiful, and so it just gets the heart going. But I do see some names I am familiar with, a lot of great drivers, and Alessandro Dalla Donna.
Yeah, and I like that you said, and as our series organizer Luca Varani is just involved, please don't ruin that beautiful rear wing. As you know, of course, the reason why. I'm sure that the Austin Knight sponsored vehicles, here is one of them, Christian Glamsetter, will certainly run with Austin in their heart. Of course, not being with us today due to an exposed nerve in his mouth, so he's unfortunately limited in his talking. So I'm expecting great performance by that team to keep
yeah.
I mean, they will want to do. I don't have this issue with Luca, because Luca is always at the front of the field. That's why I'm sponsoring the series organizer's car. Luca is coming from a couple of tough rounds. We have some new faces. Alejandro Leiro, he was, I think, racing here last week, one of his first few events, sitting in 10th place, open qualifying, as you can see, 4 seconds left. And of course, in just a few of these seconds, we are going to go straight through the starting grid, standing start as per usual. Let's see these final few times. I've been told there are some special liveries all around the grid. We will probably spot them as we go. Thiago Marteau, 43 and 5. He stays in 5th. And here is the former Rocket Turtle, Luciano Lorenzo, who has now ditched his livery because he has signed with a very famous Brazilian team, Sub Racing. So I'm said you have missed the rocket turtle himself on the side of his car.
Well, I'm just looking at the timing tower here, and it's not much in it between the cars all the way down to about 20th place, all within just about a second. So that tells me we're going to have quite a race here today.
Yeah, balance, always great in this championship. And of course, with 60-odd drivers every time, you know that fighting for the 30th place is fighting for the midfield. So there is no shame in that. And you will see there will be fights all over the place. Gianfranco Pagotto, as we were saying, official title. Who's that? Oh, jeez.
That's Deladon.
I saw a magenta car getting that. That's the worst possible commercial one can do to the Apex Racing Academy. So I'll keep the camera away from him. But Gianfranco Pagotto, winner of the Apex Racing Academy official series, let's say unofficial strength of field only points that we did, that Sam Fitzpatrick very gently did. Winner of this series as well in the, let's say, top tier group, and of course looking to finish with a bang. Pole position next to his teammate and fellow countryman Francesco Meola. So, and in third place we will have the flying duck of Samuel Hermer. Who do we have left on the track? The answer is no one. So in just a second we are going to switch to the grid, and we will of course give it to you on the screen so you can see where your favorite drivers are starting. Just waiting for iRacing to realize that in fact everyone is home safe and more or less safe. And here we go. It's all yours, Jim. Good luck with this.
Well, thank you. Cars now starting to grid up, and it is an Italian 1-2. DRS Wave Italy taking the 1-2. Gianfranco Pagotto and Francesco Meola in 1 and 2, followed by Samuel Hermer, Matty Hingley, and I believe that might be Thiago Marteau. And then there is Victor Barris, Luciano Lorenzo there in P7, followed by Luca Verani. I understand he's the series organizer. Thank you for all your hard work, Luca. Przemysław Piznicek. I'm sorry for getting that wrong. Alejandro Liero, Dave Martin, Sonny Rosario, Ben E. White, Philip Lucas, Stuart Milne, Zachary Beeson, Vincenzo Carcedi, and Michael Potacek down there in P18, followed by Fernando Correas, Bartosz Grzlecki, probably, Will McIntyre, Lucas Maruk, Chuck Mauro, Zoltan Zamotor, one of my favorite names on the service. I've had the pleasure of commentating in many races he has been in. Clark Williams, Rod McGuire, Andy Flint, and Andrea Brachetti down there in P28, followed by Antonio Telez, JJ Gonzalez, Clemens Hutzengruber, loving that one, Alessandro Deladon in P32, followed by Russell Kirkwood, Christian Glamster, Johan Bergerson, Alex Hopkins, Giovanni Celito, and Richard Veen in 38th, who is followed by Adam Talsma, Steve Rubens, Mark Mathis, Phil Waller, Nick Aronson, Rickard Boberg, Daniel Jostu, Koji Ito, James Abbott, and Johnny Coco there in P48, followed by Michael Berg, Daryl Govinder, James Thulis, Reed Dennis, Mark Charpentier, Massimo De Laurentiis, Antonio Rusevsky, Noel Richie Robinson, Martin Devine, and Patrick Rowlands, followed by Anthony Carbone Jr., Luke Bennett, and Clemens Modal. And the lights are just about to come on as we get the grid going. Oh, that was nearly a false start there by Pagotto, but he just manages to hold it. I think we'll have to see if he gets any kind of penalty. He is away, and his teammate is away behind, although P3 is threatening Meola very much. We'll have to see what happens in this first chicane. Of course, the cause of many tears is this first chicane, so let's see if everybody's able to keep it clean. It appears that they will be able to. Pagotto and Meola through safely, followed by Hermer, Hingley, and Marteau down to P5. It looks like Pianacek might have had an issue. Just seeing him slipping down the timing tower now, it looks like Lero was able to get around. There also might be an issue there in the rear with Kirkwood and Celito. Deladon might have had an issue as well, but the leaders now with a gap on the field. Look at that gap Pagotto and Meola have as we continue around the track. Boy, we are going to have a race for us here today. That looked like Barris just almost lost the rear of the car, and it looks like a slow car on the inside there as we look at the blip view, and somebody loses it. Somebody loses the rear of the car. That was that Lorenzo?
Yes, he was. It's Luciano Lorenzo off at Lesmo 1, and that rear wing looking very, very, very damaged.
It is going to be hard to develop downforce with a wing that is no longer connected to the car, as Pagotto is no longer connected to the field, getting away from these other drivers and, well, taking quite a lot of liberties with the track limits. There, Hermer just behind. Just saw those guys racing at Road Atlanta in the Formula 3 Championship last week. Good drivers all. I happen to know that for a fact. It looked like there was a pass happening behind Hermer, unless I missed my guess. As we go down to Ascaria, I believe that looks like a pass. Rosario and Martin battling it out. Oh dear. Number 16 machine, I believe, of that Rosario just losing the rear of the car there in Parabolica, but manages to keep it on the track. As we see Pagotto set the fastest lap of the race, as he would, since he is out front. Look at that snake of cars as we head down to the chicane for the first time. This is Harry and, Hingley and Barris battling. And I believe that might be Varani, series organizer. They're all over the rear of Barris's car. Very careful not to touch Barris. As we head down to Lesmo for the second time now, we'll see if everybody's able to keep the rear of their car underneath them. Let's hope they do. Varani threatening Barris, but Barris having none of it, keeping a cool head through Ascari. Look at that gap, Marco, that Pagotto has got on the field. He's built it up now over a second. As we see here, Pianacek, I believe he's just lost that place to Lero.
Fantastic stuff from him, and I think that if it's anything like yesterday, we know, of course, if you are able to stay in the clear there at the front, you can really pull away. Let's see if Hermer and Meola will fight, as we see attack on the inside from Alejandro here. Of course, Phil Lucas waiting in the wings behind as they go side by side. So new liveries for this week, as we were saying, and they go 3 wide because why not?
Ooh. Well, I've had the privilege of racing on this track a time or two on the service, and this is a spot I have trouble with. It is deceptively tough, is Parabolica. That's why it is so famous and so beloved the world over. These drivers have managed to get through safely, and Pagotto sets again the fastest lap of the race. His gap now nearly a second and a half. These cars are going to battle into the first chicane, and it looks like they got a slow car there. I think there might be a slow car just ahead. Surely that's not Varani. I believe that must be a lapped car. No, Varani's just up the track. That is the number 56.
And I see...
That is Rod McGuire in the 56 machine. And now...
James Abbott having big issues.
There is a pass down into the braking zone. I believe that might have been Waller on Justu. Just passing into that heavy braking zone of the first chicane. And now we go to a beautiful picture from the blip as we're looking here at Lero. And now it's hard to believe that we're already passing the lapped cars, but so it would appear. Oh, it's that same car, the number 56.
Number 56, no, he's
Rod McGuire.
We're trying as we have Johnny Cocco around, and
somebody else around in the chicane. Sorry, Marco.
No worries. It's Ito-san.
Oh dear.
And he's into the wall hard, one of the regular members of the league, always taking part in these races. You see Ben White, Zach Bison. Let's see at the front, Gianfranco Pagotto, of course, another fastest lap of the race. And he gains 1/10.5 over his teammate Meola. Now I think has to look in the mirror as Luca Varani gets past or tries to get past Victor Barris, and he doesn't. Of course, this gives me an excuse to show the rear wing.
Isn't there an overhead rear view that gives a slightly better look at the type?
I created it, I forgot to save it, and then I forgot to recreate it again.
Marco. Well, you've robbed yourself there, but Verani is able to stay ahead of Barris so far, although Barris very ready to take that place back, just judging by the positioning of his car. And it looks like in the rear there, just behind these two cars, Lucas and Lero is still battling. There is Verani and Barris. Marco, I'm loving this sponsorship, but we got to talk about the choices of typeface. Okay? You're Italian. You're supposed to understand design and fashion. Okay? And that extends to graphic design. So there is Pagotto.
I had no say whatsoever in that.
Well, I'm offended. Pagotto now just walking away with this race. His gap nearly I think it'll probably be up to 2 seconds when we get by the start-finish straight here in just a moment as we go one more time. What would you give, Marco, to be at a race like this on a nice afternoon? What a thing it would be. There is Hermer in his distressed livery.
I mean, look at that. It's 26 degrees, almost lunchtime because it's 11 in the morning. So by the time this is over, you can find a nice, plate full of pasta at the team hospitality. It's Monza, so it's a beautiful setting. Actually, one of the few racetracks where I've never been, funnily enough. So yeah, I mean, this would be absolutely fantastic. And of course, the great spectacle of racing in this beautiful championship as we go Leiro and Lucas side by side as they head into Variante della Roggia. And in the meantime, also Vincenzo Carchedi moving left, hitting Potoshek, unfortunately,
Oh, no.
And the Polish driver is in for a ride.
Well, it looks as though his car might have weathered that attack relatively well. It seemed like it kept most of its bits, which, of course, Formula cars often do not. Looks like it's got its arrows still attached, so that's a bonus.
Yeah, the rear wing seems okay, incredibly.
I'm shocked by that, but I'm pleased. So we're settling into the race a bit now. Things calming down just a little bit. Hermer dipping a wheel.
Hermer is on a mission, and I think that second place, might not be in Meola's hands for much longer. Even though look at the draft, it's not that, listen to Hermer, he's hitting the limiter.
Interesting. Well, it looked like he handled the first chicane a little bit better than Meola did, so, well, he's not saving fuel if he's bouncing off the rev limiter as we finish up the straight. So, do you think he's biding his time here, Marco? Has a little look at the inside, maybe just trying to keep the car cool.
Jim, the fact of the matter is, we have a crash for Vincenzo Carchedi, Squadra Corsa 3 di Rap, skip the chicane. The fact of the matter is, these drivers know each other very, very well, no? So what I'm thinking is, does Hermer think already that Pagotto is impossible to catch? Because I think he knows that if he makes the move on Meola, he needs to have the speed to pull away, otherwise they keep on passing each other, which might happen now. No, it doesn't. Oh dear.
There's also the option of potentially, if you stay in a guy's mirrors and you stay visible, sometimes you can get in his head a little bit and force a mistake. Maybe that's what Hermer is thinking. Bouncing off the limiter once again as he turns into Parabolica. It looks like Podacek
is lagging out and in,
yeah, having some connection issues.
I think that the pizza I had for dinner, a little bit of crust is trying to take its revenge on me. sorry about that, as Barris, you know,
Ooh.
was passed by Varani a few laps ago, and at the same spot, he, you know, gets the position back.
Yeah, Barris really got that done nicely, didn't he?
Here are the two of the many drivers from Poland we have in this series, Bejnacek and Grelecki, and of course Michal Potoszek is following very, very closely. And I think we're missing the other Potoszek, which usually races with us. I want to talk about Antonio Rusevski here, because Jim Antonio last season was driving, of course for his team AJR Racing, no? But as you can see, his livery is like pink magenta, no? And he was pink cut, okay? But his livery was Red Bull style with cuts in place of bulls and pink instead of red, no? And he was constantly in the top 20. He made the switch to this livery and he had an awful season. And, you know, more and more I've appealed during the broadcasts to have him switch back to the pink cut livery, which had like all like a prrr sound, you know, text on the back. Gives you pose, I think, also instead of gives you wings. But my appeals have gone nowhere, and unfortunately only P41 for him tonight, so things are not changing. Hopefully for next season things will change. It's a beautiful livery, don't get me wrong, and I love my magenta.
Well, we know that. There's Ermer having a little look on the inside of Miola's car. Will he be able to get it done under braking? Miola gives him plenty of room. It looks like we will get through the chicane safely. Ermer has decided to go ahead and swap positions. That looked like a relatively textbook pass, but Miola now coming back at him, Marco.
Look at those asymmetric mirrors. Once you see them, you cannot unsee them in this car.
Well, it would be pointless to have a mirror directly in front of the intake, wouldn't it?
Yes. Oh man, you are absolutely correct. We have some drama. Punzengruber skipped the chicane, and so did Brachetti. They are both serving a slowdown, but Jota Gonzalez is also joining the fun, and Christian Glamsetter also trying to grab some advantage from all the mess. Here we go, Gonzalez, Brachetti side by side at Variante della Roggia, and Brachetti seems to be able to get the job done, but here comes the Norwegian driver, again sponsored by Austin Knight, who is not here tonight, but will be back very, very soon, and we wish him the best. But I might, I will use this moment to reiterate that my lone sponsored car has always beaten his two combined sponsored cars.
I gotta tell you, I love that livery with the flag on the barge board there. That's a great choice.
Lovely, lovely stuff. And you know, this livery had for the longest time, your name here, look at me, you know, it would be great to have your name here, etc. And it worked on Austin.
Well, he's a friendly sort of a guy. Can't blame him. So, too wide into the turn into Parabolica, a little bit scary. And now we're going to try a pass on the outside, perhaps ill-advised, no matter how electric green your wheels might be. And it's electric green versus electric green. Looks like we're going to be safe, but we're going to have a drag race all the way down the straight. Let's see what happens under braking here. Oh, puff of smoke. A little bit of an issue on the inside, I think so. And Glamstead are able to get around.
There is a bit of something. It's the rear wing of Clemens Bunzengruber, unfortunately. He got tagged by, I think, Adam Talsma. And I think he will be in for a very bad surprise very, very soon.
You do need that downforce on this track. I mean, that is an understatement.
Oh, here we
go. Oh. Well, plenty of professional drivers have been off at that section of the track as well, not least of which being Sebastian Vettel. Had a big problem with this track in recent years, hasn't he?
See, there would be an accordion effect, and there we go.
Oh, no.
See, special livery for the Digital Apex guys. And Clements, I think, will have to add to get his fast repair, because that car is dangerous for himself and for the others. If we go on board, you will see how much he's fighting throttle, the steering wheel.
Doing everything he can to keep that car on the track, but basically a sitting duck for other cars as he gets past. And will certainly take a couple of other passes while he's in the pits, but I think probably worth it. Go ahead and take that fast repair and get a new car. We assume he'll dip into the pits, and indeed he does. So here is yet another drag race down the start-finish line. Let's see, start-finish straight. Let's see what happens under braking here. This is Justu.
They made contact, because on my screen the wheels are bouncing, but it's fake damage probably, but certainly they touched at some point. Hopefully those wheels will pop back into place. They do, maybe, but the American seems to have some front left damage. Let's go on board with him. That damage hasn't gone back to normal. I don't know. It's very strange.
Well, what a battle there between Justu and Waller. You know, it seemed to me that Waller kind of shut the door there, and here we have cars off the track. Oh dear. Was that Rzewski off?
Yeah, he was involved in this mess between
Birgersson
Birgersson and Chuck Mauro.
Oh.
Oh! You see the pin cut there.
Ooh, that was a very cheeky rejoin.
Oh, and Francesco Meola, whilst we were watching the replay, got the fastest lap of the race and jumped back in front of Samuel Ermer.
Wow. So maybe it was Meola who was biding his time.
Well, of course he has
Verani and Barra still battling. Sorry, Marco.
He has every, interest in helping a bit his teammate, so if he can stay in front of Ermer or make his life, let's say, makes Ermer's life as miserable as possible, you would say like a Fabian strategy, without a scorched earth bit, of course. That would be dangerous on a racetrack.
Yes, of course, Margot. Referring, of course, to history, as he often does, as any educated person would. Well, the pass that Ermer was able to make at the end of the straight just seems so textbook. And let me interrupt myself to say it's bizarre to me that he puts a wheel off on the inside of Parabolica there, but he's much faster around this track than I would be. Here, Barris and Verani still battling as they go through Parabolica, taking a very wide line. We'll see if Verani is able to close up and make another pass attempt. Barris doesn't look like he's going to defend. He hasn't positioned his car in the middle of the track, so Verani will take a pass here, and I believe he'll get it done before the heavy braking comes. Indeed, he does.
Great.
So these cars are... they are just going to go back and forth for the entirety of the race, aren't they?
Victor Varris, of course, driving for DriveX, which is a real-life team who has taken steps into sim racing recently. If you watch, for example, Euro Formula Open, which is a European F3-based series that they use the Lara F312, which is the previous version of the Lara F3 car, compared to this one, which is the 317. You will see that they have had some very, very good drivers over the years, and now great to have them here in sim racing. There is not only Barris, but also other drivers, as once again Samuel Ermer on the inside of Ascari. He's very slippery piece of tarmac. Watch out for those speed bumps there. Ermer makes the move stick as Bartosz Kryleczki goes wide and saves the car somehow.
Unbelievable. Something also has been happening to Hingley. I'm not sure what. Let's see. Does he just dip a wheel off the outside of the car? On the outside of the track? Yes. Ooh, a little too much. A little too much mustard, Marco.
Oh yeah, absolutely too much mustard. And I think Ingli did the same thing. But we cut back live because Francesco Meola, of course, has gone back in front.
Oh, big move from Irmer. I think that was an ill-advised attempt on Irmer's part, but it has slowed both of them down. Let's see if Irmer is able to make another attempt here in Lesmo. It's not beyond the realm of the possible. Wow. Deciding to get very close there, isn't Irmer? Mela will have the inside. Oh, big slide. Cars all together. Again, Hermer having a look now. That slide has slowed Mela down, so Hermer will go down the inside. Now let's see if he's able to drive away. I don't think he'll be able to, Marco.
Look, he's already weaving. And if we take a look at the time delta, in the last few laps, look at that battle. Has created a massive gap. Was already big, by the way, yeah? But now even bigger.
Yeah, Pagotto at this point can do whatever he wants in terms of fuel saving. I hope he brought a book with him to read on the straights.
There's the other Drivex car, Jota Gonzalez, as he's battling with Mr. Houdini himself, Daryl Govender, right now, disappearing and reappearing. So, this is of course P21, which, you know, in a normal race would be the back of the field, but of course here it's, you know, in the top half as, oh, what a surprise, here comes Meola.
I think he's a little too far back this time around, and also, you know, if you're in the cockpit and you see cars sideways in the chicane and a big, you know, a big plume of smoke, maybe that's not the time to try your big move, especially since Miola, I think, knows that he could stay close. Oh, speaking of moves, dearie me. That was a lot of cars driving alongside one another.
Yeah, I'm afraid. Oh, dearie me! I think that Birgersson. Oh, is that Ermer? Oh, wow! Just in front of them was Ermer. You see, for a second, Ermer was completely sideways, coming out of Variante della Roggia. I don't know what happened there, but we were looking at the lap cars in front of them, and if you see, there is this car here of. Let's see if I get Johan Birgersson, which has a very similar design to Ermer, but instead of having a duck on the side, it's got like a sea monster, a wave, I don't know, but I don't think they are teammates. But they have the same overall team, you know, this like almost matte livery. I don't know, you know, I'm a big lover of liveries, as you know.
Me too. Well, we're looking ahead at Irmer's car here from Miola's wheel, and Miola, wow, he tricked the software. The software thought he was going in for a pit stop there, but he didn't. Just dealing with that lapped car there. Miola would love to have an attempt on Irmer here, but I don't think he's quite close enough, and he'll let it ride for a moment more.
There is a bug with Spa, probably when it was built by iRacing, and for some reason there is a bit of pit road on the runoff area of Blanchimont. So if you go wide, the software will tell you that you are going to the pits for a second.
Here's Miola attempting to pass Irmer at the same spot where Irmer got passed before and makes it happen and makes it stick. Irmer will try to reverse it. I have no doubt. He has a look at the inside, but not a great place to pass here. He'll perhaps try it again in the heavy braking zone into the first chicane, unless Miola makes some kind of mistake. In the meantime, Pagotto's gap over 8 seconds now.
In a field this big, getting this kind of a gap is incredible. Especially considering that, of course,
car has gone straight.
Yeah. that is Alex Hopkins, if memory serves me right, and it is with one of the best liveries. I mean, I love almost every livery of the championship, of this series. Ooh,
You say
Meola.
almost every.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, for sponsorship reasons, I'm not allowed to like two of them.
I see. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Well, this is a battle between Rosario and McIntyre. Rosario gets that move done and then bounces off the rev limiter, as does McIntyre, unless my ears deceive me. So that battle could continue. These guys battling for 38th and 39th. They might be a little bit down the timing tower, but still having plenty of fun. This is Pagotto, who is in a completely different race than the rest of the field. Ruslecki getting a pass here on white and making that happen. And there is the Motor, the guy whose name I dig so much, Zoltan Motor. Would be great, Marco, to see Grzelecki end up with a great result after being sort of punted into the gravel.
Oh, absolutely. Next for him in line is if he can, of course, get away from White and Zomotor, is his fellow countryman Premislav Pieniasek. There he is in the all-orange car. There you can see. Grzeleczki is, I think, closing in despite the overtakes. Completely untrue. He is losing a bit of time. Let's see now with the clean air. Matti Ingli is... we haven't talked a lot about QT Marteau, one of the new faces for this season, and has been always there or thereabouts fighting for wins. Today he is having to settle for a fight for P4 with Matti Ingli, a new name in the championship. That's true, and Matti is using the draft to stay very, very close. So the top three drivers in this last lap: Pagotto 43.51. Meola 43.57, Hermer 43.58. I'd say pretty balanced, but of course Pagotto being at the front, the fact that he's even slightly quicker than the others, of course, it's like the rain that keeps on pouring and the gap that keeps on growing between first and the rest of the group. As Motor makes the move on white and is up into 14th place. We also have this battle pack here between Gonzalez, Boberg, Waller, Justo and Toulis. I think we had an issue for Johan Birgersson. Came out of the pits and I think came back into the pits.
Oh dear.
Yep.
Well, something very not right for his car, for him to do that. Here is that battle for second place. Hermer and Meola battling even still. Meola now back in the lead, but Hermer might be close enough to make an attempt, yet another attempt into the braking zone. And we are just about...
Traffic played a huge part there in lap 15, you see, sorry Jim, 7/10 of a second lost by... And of course the overtake we had there, so I'm stupid.
Here is Varani getting overtaken by Barris once more. These guys battling tooth and nail. Varani is just going to slot in behind and wait for his chance to make something else happen.
As you can see, there is no one... Oh, there is no one behind Luca. Can really appreciate the beautiful trees, around this racetrack.
Varani, I think, had a little think about making an attempt. He decided against it. I think he was wise to decide against it in that particular case. I think we saw Lero getting a little bit wild there in the back. Now, is Barris going to be able to drive away from your guy, Marco?
No, I don't think so. I think that basically every drafting pair we've had since lap 1 or 2 basically has stayed drafting pair. Since the drivers are so equally matched, especially at the front of the field, as you can see. Meola hasn't pulled away from Ermer, and Marteau hasn't slightly pulled away from Ingley. and Barris and Varani, you can see, as Pagotto once again fastest lap of the race, 43.37.
I'm just having a chuckle there as your own cameras proved your theory to be
wrong.
In that one case, correct. Mostly true, but Ingley and Marta.
I will always defend myself with the usual. It's so tough to do in cameras and commentary at the same time.
Well, Varani is finding it tough indeed to get back around Barris. At what point do we just say to ourselves, hey, maybe we'll just hang out? Here is, I believe, Tulis looking at the rear of Justu's car.
Yeah, I think, it's the last race of the season, so maybe some calculations are thrown out of the window when these drivers are just saying, let's have some fun. I'm sure they know that it's not going to help them at all to make these passes now, because there is no way you can, again, unless you can force a mistake, but this is not a track where it's easy to make mistakes. I mean, yes, you can make a mistake, like going straight into the first chicane, maybe going wide at the Lesmo corners, but we haven't seen a lot of this tonight, so I'm not expecting things to change quite suddenly. Sonny Rosario and Noel Richie Robinson. This is for P37.
Well, just a moment ago, we saw Tulis get a little bit of a better run out of Parabolica, and that spelled a pass for him at the end of the straight. And I think we might see, as you say, Rosario get involved in a pass here as well.
Staff, and just behind them is Varani and Barris, with Barris able to keep the position as we are about to enter the last 5 laps of the race. Gianfranco Pagotto is in another zip code. The track is in the Monza and Brianza province, and he's probably in the Milan province.
Yeah, he's in the Mont Blanc tunnel by this point. He's in Geneva.
Wow, it's like in...
There he goes. We assume he will have no further troubles. And Marco, if Irmer is going to get this done, the clock is ticking, and Meola's got himself a little bit of a gap now, doesn't he?
He absolutely
Do you think this is Meola showing his true pace?
Well, a bit of that, a bit of traffic. What is for sure is that Meola has found the rhythm he needed in the last 3 or 4 laps, and created this little bit of a pocket. 1 second is still not in the clear, but certainly better 1 second than 3/10 of a second. So if Meola can keep it like this, it's going to be extremely tough for Ermer to close the gap in these remaining few laps. We have another battle here, Brachetti and Glam Setter for P17.
Just looking at the way that Glamsetter's car is moving all over the track, he is upset. A lot of sharp movements, not very smooth inputs. So I would... Well, if I were his race manager and I were on the radio right now, I would say, hey, cool it. Don't worry about this guy. It's no big deal. You stuff the car, it'll be much worse than losing 1 place to this cat.
Well, he's sponsored by Austin, so I think the thinking is completely the opposite of that.
Well, Brachetti did his best to try to break the toe. going down the straight, but I don't think it quite worked. Clamsetter still not quite close enough to make any sort of hero moves. Here is a battle. We were riding on board with Waller, who's looking for it at Burberg. And where is Gonzalez?
Yeah, the DriveX boys. Daryl Govender at the speed trap of the front stretch, 720 kilometers per hour. That car might need to go to the, technical inspection after the race. According to our speed trap, as you can see, 720 kilometers per hour for Govender.
Well, he's just a really fast driver, Marco. What do you want? I mean, it's a race. You didn't want him to drive slowly. Oh, no. Zamora, no.
Your favorite driver.
Oof. All is klar. All is klar.
The speed bumps at Ascari. And he clipped Daryl Govender, I'm afraid.
Bad place to be stopped there in the middle of the track. Not that there is a good place to be stopped. Here is that Verani and Burris battle still raging on. Barris, excuse me, not Burris. I'm thinking of Hannibal Burris, one of my favorite comedians. I apologize.
Another fast lap for Pagotto, 43.32. He's basically set the fastest lap at every lap, almost. And we have a wreck. No, we don't.
Hingley just using every bit of the track and then some, isn't he?
Yeah. See what happened to
Hingley's picked up quite a few incidents. Oh dear. Oh, Gonzalez.
Hingley has got 24 off tracks, which are calculated unofficially by our SDK Gaming software. These are based on GPS quote-unquote system, which of course can be nice to know, but it is also you need to factor in stuff like latency from the driver you're watching, so they are not like 100% reliable. But the fact that, let's say, Pagotto is 1 and Hingley has 24 might probably not be the same in the real life iRacing calculation, but still gives you an idea, of course, of the kind of race these two drivers have had. So certainly, basically in the past there has been drivers that after the race have been, gotten a telling off by the organization in this championship. If you are found, because there is no incident limit, but if you are found to use the track limits, okay, this is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. So I'm Italian, no, and I'm gesticulating when I do the commentary. I pushed the button on my wheel and I got put inside my car.
Oh. Marco. Look, I'm the fill-in guy here. You're supposed to know what's going on. Oh dear. There was a car very much in trouble doing a little tank slapper down the front straight there in the rear.
There was a drunk driver there at the back. I mean, apologies to everyone who saw my beautiful magenta wheel and magenta F3 and magenta pit crew guy. As I was saying, this series don't take lightly to drivers who abuse the track limits to gain an advantage repeatedly. We have had some, drivers penalized in the past, even this season, for this very reason. So I'm sure that if the organizers see that, let's say, I'm saying Hingley, but maybe it's just normal off track, so I'm not pointing the finger, just saying a name, because you see, if he has used, let's say, too many, let's say that if on 25 laps you run wide at Parabolica for 20 laps out of 25 to get a better exit, you know, you might get into the you know, angry side of the stewards.
Yes, that is a great example, because if you run wide there, you can get a higher top speed down the straight, but that is why we don't use track limits. Pagotto now will get the white flag when he goes by this time, I believe, as he enters Parabolica himself. No need to run wide for Pagotto. As I say that, he puts half his car onto the turf, but never mind. So there he is, does indeed get the white flag this time, and sets the fastest lap of the race thus far, a 1:43.3.
I'm still
They
shocked
should hand him a...
by what just happened, of me jumping in the car mid-race. I mean, out of all the things that have happened to me during a stream, it is a first.
Well, when Pagotto has won this race so utterly decisively, as soon as he gets out of the car, somebody should hand him a Barolo, a pair of loafers, and maybe a wheel of Parmesan cheese.
Yes, absolutely. I'm incredibly, you know, I like Parmigiano a lot. Like,
of course.
Like, you know, I like it not just on the pasta. I like to have a little stash on the fridge that I, you know, take a little pieces off of it and eat like I'm a mouse, basically, you know.
My wife and I went to a Parmigiano-Reggiano dairy, and the dairy owner was a Maserati fanatic and had a Maserati museum there at the dairy. And we went in to look at the cheese, and there's a lady giving us a tour of the cheese, and I was like, you must know a lot of cheese jokes. And she said, oh no, we are very serious about the Parmigiano-Reggiano. Well, it's no joke for Pagotto. He certainly takes the win today. Now he'll be able to get out of his car and maybe build a house alongside the track while he waits for the rest of the field to finish. There is Meola, who finishes with a commanding lead over Hermer, even though those guys were battling all race long. I believe that was a cheeky swerve on Meola's part as he crosses the finish line. Marteau now, and Hindley across. Marteau with his fastest lap of the race being his last. Wasn't quite enough to catch up to the rest of those guys, but a great lap nevertheless. Did he get down into the 143s, Hindley? Yes, he did. 143.9. Nice lap, Hindley. Nice lap. So now we're riding on board with Glamsetter, who's looking at the rear of... Oh, he's going to try a move on the outside of Parabolica. I don't know about that. Wow, he manages to keep it relatively tame. But I think that Brachetti is going to be able to come back at him on the inside, and he does. Brachetti takes that place at a 1:44.8, his fastest lap of the race. What a battle.
Aderfatier, Correas, Tulis, Justo. Correas and Tulis on the start-finish line, almost a dead hit. I think Correas gets him by nothing. Stuart Milne is in 28th, and we are waiting, I think, just for Andy Flint to ideally put the checkered flag on this IGP fan season, and what a season this was. Here is Gianfranco Pagotto, who basically is finishing his parade lap just as the last car crosses the start-finish line. And here we go with the results from Monza, the final round of the season. They should be on your screen right now. And the victory from pole position with the fastest lap of the race, of course, was for the champion Gianfranco Pagotto in front of Francesco Meola, DRS Wave Italy, winning and getting a 1-2 at the top of the table. Samuel Hermer in third, QT Marteau in fourth, and Matti Ingli, very good performance for him in fifth. Victor Varris and Luca Varani 6th and 7th in front of Alejandro Leiro, Phil Lucas and Dave Martin who round up your top 10. Zachary Bison, Premish Lapinazek, Bartosz Glesh and Michal Potoszek, the three Polish drivers, hand in hand, 12th, 13th, 14th in front of Ben White, Zoltan Zomotor, Andrea Brachetti, Christian Glamsetter, and the top 20 is rounded up by Russell Kirkwood and Marc Matisse from France. Daryl Govender in his 720 kph front straight speeder in 21st place in front of Richard Boberg, Phil Waller, Fernando Correas, James Tullis, Daniel Justo, Jota Gonzalez, Stuart Mill, Nick Aronson and Lucas Maruk in front of teammate Andy Flint. Then it's Antonio Teyes, Adam Talsma, Clark Williams, Sonny Rosario in 35th. Richard Van Feen in 36th in front of Will McIntyre, and from South Africa, Noel Richie Robinson, Alex Hopkins in 39th, and Clemens Punzengruber. You can see the drivers. Let me show that, because the drivers are doing like a formation there. And as soon as I switch, of course, there is a driver who decides to hit the wall. And now we have some donuts. Where's my blimp? There we go. As I was saying, Punzengruber in 40th. Unfortunately, there is no demolition derby like SRF. I will pitch the idea to Luca for next season. Might be one of the conditions of my continued sponsorship of the series. De Laurentiis, Massimo De Laurentiis in 41st in front of Antonio Ruseschi, Reed Dennis, Chuck Mauro, and Rod Maguire. They are like doing some demo derby. I think the DriveX guys are doing a formation. As I was saying, Reed Dennis, Chuck Mauro, Rod Maguire, Patrick Rowlands, and Martin Devine. Then Johnny Cocco in 48th place. 49th was Johan Birgersson, and 50th was Vincenzo Carchedi. Then Steve Rubens, Luciano Lorenzo, Ito-san, Koji Ito in 54th in front of James Abbott, Marcel Vanderberg, Luke Bennett. Disappointing race for Alessandro Dalle Donne. I don't know why he bothered to show up. Marc Charpentier in 59th in front of Anthony Carbone Jr. And last but not least, from Germany, Clemens Model. What a fantastic race this was. I think, Jim, you will have the honor to interview our series organizer extraordinaire on another successful season. Here we go. Jim is standing by with Luca Varani.
Luca Varani, a great race for you out there. You had a couple of great battles, so I want to hear about your race first, and then I want to thank you for the series.
Hi guys. Actually, it was a bit of a strange race for me. I was not racing for Monza, but racing for the standings. So I had my eyes on Sam Herner, and I needed to be no more than 5 positions behind him. So that's where I wanted to stay. I lived behind Victor all the time. I had no intention to take any risk, to be honest.
Really amazing. It looked like you had you and Barris were having a really great sort of a tooth and nail battle out there.
But we were actually very respectful. We had the same battle last week about Atlanta, and last week we went for it. So we ended up passing each other aggressively a couple of times, but nice and clean. Today, no, we were really working together. As I said, I did not want to take any risk.
Well, you had a great result, and what a track to enjoy. So you must be feeling pretty proud at the end of a series like this with such, great racing and great participation.
I don't know. You guys should tell me, you and the people watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We certainly enjoyed driving it. We had overall very clean and respectful racing, which is the trademark of iGPFun. We have had some problems, but that's kind of unavoidable with 62 cars on track. But I really need to thank all the drivers. They have been very, very good. They show up and race all the time. I really appreciate their commitment and their fair play.
Yeah, you had really great racing out there on track. As you say, a lot of cars, but also a lot of respectful racing. That's what makes leagues like this really survive. So what's in your mind going forward? Will we see you guys again next season?
Well, Marco knows our story. We started, iGPFun started in 2003. I don't see it stopping in 2021.
Good. I'm glad. Well, I hope to be back with you. It has been a ball. Any further thoughts?
No, I really wish to thank you guys for Apex Racing TV. The broadcasts are wonderful. We meet every night after the race at 11 p.m. GMT. The drivers get together and watch your broadcast, and we always enjoy it. So really, thanks a lot for the great work. And Marco, the only complaint I have, the music is lacking a bit.
I know that's we miss Austin this weekend. That's why it's a shame. We need Austin back as soon as possible.
Hope it's nothing bad happening to him.
No, nothing. He's already getting ready to come back for next season. So nothing serious. But Jim was a fantastic replacement. Worthy replacement. He's very used to comment on big grids, and we had a lot of fun. And there, I got so excited at some point that I accidentally, Italians, when we talk, we move our hands now. So I accidentally hit my wheel, and the racing put me into my car for like 10 seconds towards the end of the race. Okay,
So, too bad I cannot read the final standings, but if you guys are interested, just go to the Formula 3 forum, and tomorrow, Monday, we'll post all the standings. We have overall standings that Gianfranco dominated. He drove really wonderfully the whole season. I don't think he put a wheel wrong in 12 races. But then we also have the standings reserved to drivers with a rating below 3,000 and below 2,000. I actually don't know who won these ones because the fight was very tight, and I need to look at the standings of the final race and do the calculations. But again, this league is not just for fast drivers, it's for everybody. If you can drive clean and safely in a pack of 60 cars, you're welcome. There is tight and close racing for everyone. And again, we do not want to be a league just for the very fastest drivers. Everybody's welcome.
Luca,
well, thank you so much for your hard work. Yeah, Luca, having run a series myself, I know how much work it takes. So you heard the man. Stay in touch with him. Check the forums. You'll see the results for the drivers under 3,000 iRating, under 2,000 iRating. And hey, why not jump in, guys? Come on, have some fun.
Yeah, join the fun. That's our motto. Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Luca, so much. Well, what a great series, Marco. I'm so pleased to have been able to fill in for Austin, even though I'm sure that Austin would rather be here himself. I'm sure that you'll have him back next time.
Yeah, and unfortunately, every season, week 13, we have a special event for this league. Not this time. We have basically a team championship race, a nation league kind of race, and like a charity event in the same before this. Well, that's the last one we had, but not in this week 13. So hopefully the next week 13 we will go back, because it's so much fun. Especially I love the Nations Cup race. It reminds me of the good old days of A1GP, and actually a lot of deliveries are also inspired by A1GP livery. If that suits you, it's absolutely fantastic. But Jim, it's been awesome to have you here, and I will leave you with the final thoughts from Monza.
Well, thank you so much. Iconic track, a great race. What a series. I'm absolutely jealous of Austin, but I'm glad to have been able to step in today. I have been Jim Hodgson, and on behalf of Marco Barbonera and the erstwhile Austin, who will be back next time, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you for the next race.